Drive to Survive Season 5, Episode 1, A New Dawn. Let's get into it! They start things off by reminiscing what happened last season to get you hooked in, to get you ready for the brand new season, and believe me people, I was pumped. The episode seems to be all about Guenther Steiner and Mattia BINOTTO, Ferrari and Haas. This episode is worth watching. There's so much story and we only stay at the Bahrain Grand Prix for the entire episode, and I understand why. We have moments in the episode where Guenther Steiner and Mattia BINOTTO are walking through some sort of vineyard in Italy, and they're talking about the season ahead. They're talking about how happy they are to be in Formula One. They talk about the pressures as well. They seem to open up to each other, and we find out that Guenther Steiner and Mattia BINOTTO have been friends for many, many years. So the partnership between Haas and Ferrari kind of has some sort of foundation. It kind of makes sense, and the Ferrari package is looking good this year. Ferrari, over the winter testing, have looked like a team that are ready to compete for the title. And that bodes well for Haas because the engine is also supplied by Ferrari. And if you've ever followed Formula One before, Haas and Ferrari have come through some hardships, to say the least. They've had some horrible times. But now there seems to be some sort of light, some sort of clear blue skies for both teams here, and this bodes very well for both Mattia and Guenther Steiner. One of the things I love about Netflix is the way Will Buxton has his moment on camera, because he always seems to expand on what Formula One is, what it's about. And for those of you that are new watching Formula One, he gives a good indication of how to relay and what's at stake here, the rules and regulations about Formula One. Remember, it was brand new regulations, brand new cars, and it was absolutely perfect the way Will Buxton and Netflix sort of had that great partnership in terms of how to talk about what's going on in Formula One. You get a moment where the drivers are all inspecting different cars. You get Mercedes drivers looking at the Ferrari car, Red Bull drivers looking at Haas and Alpine, and it goes to show that everybody came up with their own concept, their own design, and they realize that actually some of these cars are looking better than their own. We get a glimpse of Max Verstappen, who comes back into Drive to Survive. Remember, he's somebody who kind of boycotted the whole thing last season, but then he's back, and now the Red Bull story, if you've been following, has always been them chasing Mercedes, but now they are the hunted rather than the hunter. They gave us just a little glimpse on Christian Horner. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more stuff as the season goes on, but this was primarily Haas and Ferrari business. And then we get a little backstory as to what's been happening with Haas. Every season in Drive to Survive, if you've noticed, Haas always come under pressure, under hot water. Something is going on with that team. And this time round, because of what was happening in Ukraine, of course, all the Russians' partnerships with Haas, as well as their Russian driver, Nikita Mazepin, had to be removed from the Formula One circuit. So where on earth did they find a driver at such a late stage? We're talking weeks before the season started, and return of the Mag. That's right, Kevin Magnussen, people, back at the helm, and they were showing montages of his time in Formula One. Remember, he had that little spat with Nico Hülkenberg. Interesting that they put that in there because, of course, we know what happens in the following season. It feels good. It looks good to see Kevin Magnussen in a different space. He was there with his wife and his kid, and he looks like a person who hasn't got that anger, or necessarily, he's got a much better channeled anger. He's got the passion that's definitely needed in Formula One, but the man had a storming weekend. He qualified in the top 10, and then he finished P5 in the Bahrain Grand Prix, so it was a happy story for them. On the Ferrari camp, of course, with the Red Bull problems, there was issues with both Red Bull cars, which doesn't bode well. But guess what? Ferrari win the Bahrain Grand Prix, 1-2 finish, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. After the race, it gets very, very emotional for both sets of teams. Kevin Magnussen and Guenther Steiner having a moment thinking about the years that they've been at Haas and how much bad luck they've had. This time they had some great luck finishing in P5, and it got very, very emotional. You could see the two people there thinking, we never thought we'd even be in this place together again, after Kevin Magnussen, remember, was sacked by Haas a couple of years ago. So to see this happen now is unbelievable. Very glorious emotion there. And of course, with Ferrari, Mattia BINOTTO feeling the pressure. He opens up to Guenther Steiner in the episode about feeling the pressure of Ferrari. It's in their DNA to win races, to win championships, and to see them have the 1-2 finish in Bahrain spelt nothing but glorious emotion for both Ferrari and for both Haas as well. And that's how we kicked things off in episode 1. I love the way, however, when it came up to the ending of the show, or the ending of the episode rather, and it said coming up, and all it kept doing was giving you hard hit after hard hit. There were so many things in Formula One that I totally forgot about, and yet they brought that back to life. So I'm excited to watch the rest of the seasons, rest of the episodes of this season. Pierre Gasly as well, just one moment to mention on him. They show us the dangers of Formula One. Pierre Gasly's car packs up in the AlphaTauri and the car goes into flames. Like fire is coming out of that car and you see him jump out straight away. The seatbelts are very much strapped in. It's quite hard to get out of an F1 car quickly, and yet when the car stopped, Gasly was not aware that the car was on fire behind him, and then all the smoke started coming towards the front and he got out there. So there was a massive heart racing moment there. Brilliant episode to start things off with. This is a cracking start to the new season of Drive to Survive Season 5. Episode 2 coming up next.